All right, and welcome to the Brand Currency Podcast, where we break down branding and design in a way that actually makes sense for your business. My name is Charles McGill, and I am joined by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Jonsi McGill, his partner in life and in business.
Okay, so today we're going to have a great episode. I'm really excited about this one. We're going to be talking about the biggest branding myths that are keeping you underpaid and stuck. Okay, we're going to get into it. Babe, what do you think about that?
Man, I think you need to tell him, Charles. I hope you're going to keep it all the way real, because this sounds like you need to keep it all the way real.
Yes. Okay, the truth is branding can be really confusing, right? There's a lot of information out there. You got so many people out there telling you all different types of stuff, right? You got the gurus, right? They telling you do this, don't do that, do this. And we're confused, right? There's so many myths about branding, about like what is the right thing to do and when. And so we're here to set the record straight. We're going to set the record straight for you guys today.
Dope. All right. So let's get into some of the common misconceptions around branding and, why believing those misconceptions might be holding your business back.
Yes. Okay. So one big myth is that branding is just your logo, right? Some people really believe.
Hold up! Say it again, Charles. Say it again.
So one of the myths is that branding is just a logo, right? That really all you got to do is get your logo together. And once you got your logo together, you'll have your brand together. That's not what a brand is.
I wish I had some pearls to clutch right now because yes, people just think the logo is your brand.
Yes.
And your brand is so much more than that.
So much more. Like the truth is branding is like everything. It is like your designs, right? It's the customer experiences, the emotion, how people feel, right? Branding is like what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? It's that feeling that you get when people mention your name or see your logo. Your logo is just meant to be something that's recognizable, right? That people can actually like see and go, okay, that's that brand.
Yes.
But in terms of like the feeling behind it, that's what's really like what is branding, right? One person I remember when we like a branding expert that I was talking to, and we were kind of going back and forth on like what a branding is supposed to be about, and he said something like he said that basically like people need to be thinking about like what song plays in your head when you think about your brand, right? Like and like. Not so much like you need to be thinking about that, like what song plays, but also the people, right, that experience your brand. What experience do they have? What is it? Nostalgia? Are they like seeing your brand and they think, oh yeah, I remember that they're really, they're really into, I don't know, like adventure, right? And so every time I see that brand, I think about something fun. And like if you're talking about like a brand like Coca-Cola, they like to play on nostalgia. So every time you see their brand, they have this classic look, kind of old school look, but they're trying to get you to have memories of like your family and yesteryear.
Having a good time.
Exactly.
Being at a nice gathering with friends.
Yes.
And then they always, every Christmas, there's a whole lot of people that look forward to their commercials.
That's right.
Like they always have these nostalgic commercials that people really enjoy.
Yes. Apple's super innovative. They've kind of, like they try to make themselves like a part of your life in every way, right? Mm-hmm. Apple product for everything that you do. So their commercials are oftentimes emotional kind of experiences where the Apple product was something that, was a part of the experience in some way, whether it was gathering a memory, making a phone call, whether it was like, capturing some type of, video or something like that. Like, they always do that. And so
that's how they sold the FaceTime feature. Like when they were trying to market, the iPhone with the forward-facing camera and FaceTime.
Yeah.
I think one of the first commercials was like, Grandpa was far away, or no, Dad was on a business trip, and the kids wanted to talk to Daddy before they went to bed at night, and so they did the FaceTime. It's like, oh, he can't be there physically, but he's there to tuck them in.
Absolutely, and that's a dope example, because if you're someone that doesn't understand branding and you have that feature, all you might do is say, hey guys, we got FaceTime, it's super cool. You could talk to somebody, you could look at them while you're talking, and that's how you would describe it. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, oh, you can look at them? Yeah, it's pretty cool. But how much more impactful is if you tell a story and you're like, imagine being on a business trip and you can't see your kids physically, and then you get on the phone with them and you could actually see them and tuck them in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the difference in what that does to you emotionally, it's like, wow. And so, in terms of like creating that brand experience, that's what we're talking about. It's not simply just, like a logo, it's the experiences that people have. So when people interact with you and your brand in person, online, these are all touch points that build on those experiences, that build on that messaging, that build on the visuals that they have and the whole memory they have of you. That's the entirety of all that. That is your brand. Yes. All right. So one of the next myths that are out there is that you need to be everywhere online, right? That you got to be everywhere online to be successful.
That's
right?
a lot, Charles.
Isn't that a lot?
That just you saying that stresses me out.
You hear it oftentimes, right?
Yeah, we're not omnipresent. We can't be everywhere at the same time. It's like
they expect you to be on what? Facebook, Instagram,
LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok,
YouTube,
X, Lemonade.
Yeah. What you say?
Lemonade? Yeah. There's like so many.
I ain't never heard of that one.
There's like a whole bunch of others that are just like, it's a whole lot. It's too much.
It's way too much. And the thing is, the truth is you don't have to be everywhere. You just got to be consistent on the platform that your target audience is.
Right.
Because here's the thing. People have been trying to get us to be on TikTok forever. Right. And I tell them the same thing every single time. Likely, well, as far as I know right now, if these may shift. Right. But as far as I know right now, our target audience is not on TikTok.
Right.
So although we may have a presence there, let's say
I know some people who've made millions from TikTok.
For sure.
Right? They making bank.
But likely it's
because their target audience is very different.
Well, what all it is that they are where their target audience is.
Exactly.
That's all. That's the point of it. Like, let's not make it more than that. Like, if your audience is mainly on Facebook, you should focus on being on Facebook.
Right.
You going over to X may be a different audience for you and may open you up and expose you, but that isn't really like the best leverage point for you if that's not where your audience is.
Right.
Now, you could test different things because everyone's been telling us, well, not everybody, but you keep hearing about be on LinkedIn or be on different things.
Or Threads.
Threads.
Threads is so many different, I just can't get with Threads.
Or Clubhouse. There's so many different ones, right? It's very hard, especially as a small business owner, to be everywhere at once.
Right.
And the people who do that successfully, believe it or not, they're not just one person. They got a team, likely. They got a team or they're working with an agency. They're working with people and they're paying people to do that. It's not just them, right? So let's demystify that.
Yes.
So the truth is you can make money
just feels like they're everywhere because you see their brand and you see some messaging coming from their brand or their profile, but it's really like somebody in the Philippines or Mexico or something like that.
Likely, yeah. But the truth is you can choose just a few platforms and focus on them that have your ideal clients and you can make money that way. We're a prime example of that. We primarily on Facebook. We have some presence on Instagram, but it ain't really that much.
Yeah.
We're primarily on Facebook, and we do well just being on Facebook. And we haven't even maximized the opportunities on Facebook. There's more because there's tons of people on Facebook that still don't know about us. But like in terms of like how our business is thriving or growing, it's because of Facebook, right? Now we're opening ourselves up to obviously YouTube and Instagram to try those out and to test those out to see if that's where people are. We believe that there's some people there for us that will do well, but that wasn't something that we, initially planned on to say, okay, let's spread ourselves everywhere right away. It's something that we built on. And so I would encourage people in terms of building your brand, you don't have to be everywhere at all times because all those platforms are different. Because just because you post something on Instagram and you try to post it the same exact way on Facebook, it likely won't translate. It won't do as well.
Like my Instagram is so sorry. It's so sad. It's like awful.
And you do the same post, right?
It's the same post because it shares automatically.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, Instagram is it's like people that I knew in high school, back in the day or something like that, they interact with it. But, the target audience, everybody's on Facebook.
Yeah, well, it's because it's different. Like different platforms require a different approach.
Right.
And that's just what it is. And if you're not nuanced like that,
right,
and you're not understanding that Facebook people usually like to see, it this way, and Instagram people see it this way, and YouTube. If you don't understand those differences and you're just putting the same thing out everywhere and just blasting it, likely it won't do as well as it's supposed to do anyway, right? So the people at the top of the mountain, the top of the industry that are everywhere, they're not actually delivering the same exact thing everywhere. There's some big celebrities
So
I've
you have to
seen.
tailor it for that
For
specific
sure. Yes. I've seen
social media
some big
outlet.
celebrities that are like super big on Instagram, and they put the same content, and they're like, their content is going viral on Instagram. Put the same content on Facebook and it doesn't have the same amount of effect, right?
That's so true.
I've seen it tons of times.
I know a lot of people like that. Like
Yeah.
they're jiggy on Threads, but Facebook is like ghost town.
Yeah. But then there's some industry leaders that understand that there needs to be difference. And so they will put only certain content on Facebook, and then only certain content on Instagram, and only certain content on X. And they will play into the algorithm and the audience that's there to make sure it's appropriate. Now, if you could do that, by all means, like,
That
go for it.
sounds like a whole lot of time.
That's a whole lot of work and a whole lot of time. So I would focus mainly on 1 or 2 platforms and be consistent there. Myth number 3, expensive branding is a scam. What'd you say about that, babe?
I would say that whole entire sentence is a scam.
But why do you think people say stuff like that?
Because usually they have an ulterior motive. Like they will tell people not to spend a whole lot on their branding because they want those people to spend their dollars with them in another type of industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they'll say it because maybe they haven't been able to leverage their branding. Like they don't have the experience or the know-how because they're not a branding expert or a design expert or a marketing expert to really be able to leverage what they have.
Yes. And or they felt maybe that they, had some bad experience and now they're spreading it. So, because I've heard people say stuff like, you don't need to spend, $20,000 on your website. You could just do, really, cheap website and you'll be fine. You can make sales that way. So here's
well, it's not just expensive. Like it's not just about the price tag. It's about the outcome.
Yes.
Right? Because you can pay. I've seen, really expensive websites, like because I'm gonna look and investigate who else is doing what we doing, and I will see their pricing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like $10,000-$20,000 for that.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, it's not so much about, like to your point, it's not about like what you're paying in terms of the expense. It's about the ROI, right? Because you could pay $10,000, $20,000 for a website, and it could do completely nothing,
right?
Because if it's not built the right way, if it's not attracting the right people, if the messaging is, all these different variables, it won't matter how much you paid for it. It would be a waste of money, right? Whereas you could pay less. And if it hits all those things, it could be more impactful for you, right? So it's not about, like, when we say that expensive branding is a scam, that's a false statement, that's a myth. It's not a scam because if you invest in it the right way and you understand how to, be intentional about getting the ROI, whatever you invest in is going to come back to you, right? So if you're investing in premium graphics, premium branding to attract premium people, that's an investment that's worth it, right? Especially if you hit that target, which if you're intentional enough, you can. But if you don't know what you're doing, if you're just someone who's like, because we've had that too, where people, there was a time where we were charging $30,000 for our package. And we've had people had a lot of success with that package. They would go on to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So the ROI was there. And so then we would have some people come to us.
Well, they were getting more than a website as well.
No, they were getting way more than a website. Yeah, they were getting all types of branding assets, like complete assets. And so, but people would come to us and say, hey, I got 30,000, I want you to make my website for me or whatever, but have no real clear like strategy or even an offer that made sense.
Right.
And so I would have to let them know, hey, like I could build you all this stuff, but your offer is not proven. Like it's there's no guarantee that people are even going to like this or want this, and you don't even know, but you're willing to, throw me 30,000. That's cool, but I can't say that you're going to get an ROI on this. Like I can't say, because you have none of the other stuff established. Like,
right.
You're literally just, jumping it out there with this offer that you haven't really even fleshed out yet. that may or may not work. And so, you know, if I took on that client and they would say, oh, well, I did this, you know, it didn't work. I paid all this money and it didn't work. Well, it didn't work just because you paid on the, you know, it's not because of the money you paid.
Right.
It was because of, you know, the fact that you weren't ready for it. Your offer wasn't clear. There's other factors, right? So that's the myth behind it, that, you know, just because it's expensive doesn't make it a scam. And just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's right. It's right. What it's about is investing at the level that you want the results, right? So if you are looking for big results, you often have to invest big, but it's not just about the amount. It's about your time. It's about the strategy, the
work that you're willing to
work
put
you got to
into
put in.
it.
Exactly. Like some stuff requires that, you know, if you got a webinar that you're trying to promote your business and you want that webinar to do very well, sometimes you got to do that webinar more than once or twice.
For sure.
Right? Some people, you don't have to do that webinar for 12 times, 30 times. You
I
might have
know
to do
people
it
who've been doing the same webinar every day for a year.
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Well, just one person in particular.
Okay.
They did that webinar every day.
I've heard once a week. I think that's usually what I hear.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it was once a week.
Yeah, once a week. Yeah, but still, I mean, that's still a lot. But once a week.
Once a week, it was once a week.
That's a big commitment, right? Once a week, every week to do that. And Russell Brunson said that if you could do the same webinar once a week for a year, it will change your life. Right?
Maybe they practice every day.
Yeah, maybe they probably do practice. I don't know about every day. Every day seems crazy. I mean, unless it was an automated webinar, but that's not the same.
No.
But like, but yeah, you know, so you invest and you put in that time, you put in that effort, and you're like, okay, after a year, you're going to start to see results because you're going to learn so much through that process, right? And you probably will have to invest a lot and sacrifice a lot to get there. It's worth it, right? It's not a scam. Like some people say, webinars are scams. Webinars don't work. Is it that they don't work, or is it that you didn't put in the work? Right? Okay. So what's the next myth?
Well, the next myth is that good products sell themselves. You put it out there. If you build it,
they
will come.
They will come. Yes.
Is that true?
No, it ain't true. Not at all, man. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, and I get it, right? You feel like, man,
I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh my God, this offer is amazing.
Yeah.
People would be crazy not to just flock to it. We just got to put it out there.
Yes. That is your favorite phrase, actually.
I know.
Just put it out there.
Just put it out there.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you think this just gonna fall? Man, they're gonna fall from heaven. They're gonna be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been wanting. And everyone's just gonna buy it. That's not how this works.
I know.
At all.
I found out.
Yeah. Think about it. Okay, here's an example for you guys. So, okay, first of all, you drop something, right? First of all, let's just be honest, nobody cares, right? Everybody concerned about their own life. They don't really care. And likely, even if you hit the nail on the head and it was something that they wanted, they're probably going to have to see it at least a couple of times for them to be sure.
Yes.
Right? Because similarly, like when you see somebody, let's say, like I said, once again, in person, you're single, you're trying to date, whatever. You see someone you're attracted to, you got the initial attraction. That don't really mean much.
Right.
It don't
it's
mean
not we're going to get married.
You ain't really ready to marry them. You ain't ready to, there's a lot of stuff you're not willing to do upon the first meet, right? Or the first time you see them, right? You have to engage. You have to continue to talk to them, get to know them. There's got to be this cycle, this process of getting, it's not just they come present themselves, I'm here. And you're like,
and?
Yeah, you're like, man, like, what's that mean? I'm your husband. God didn't tell you? Imagine if I said that to you the first time we met. Hey, how you doing? My name is Charles, and I'm your husband.
I'd be like, not another nut, John.
Yeah, you're like, nah, yeah, oh, speaking of, well, I guess we could be a little transparent. How many times have I heard that on the opposite side? Oh. So I grew up in the church, and for whatever reason, when I was younger, I was doing my thing. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, I don't know who people was talking to or what God people was talking to, but for some reason, some God was telling all these different women.
It wasn't God.
It wasn't the God I know. Was telling all these different women that I was their husband. And I was like, how could this be? How could this be?
You supposed to be everybody's husband.
Yeah, it's like, what part of the game is this? Like, You're like, nah, that don't make no sense.
They be talking to your mama about it.
They talk, yeah. Went to my mom, said they had a dream. And it got to a point where my mom had to be like, get in line. Like, that's, you know how many people done told us that? And I don't mean to say it like that to be insensitive, but the point I'm making is that don't work, right? You come and present yourself and be like, hey, I'm here. That don't mean nothing, right? Especially when you're trying to sell your product or service. You got to build some rapport. There's got to be some other things to match, like confirmation to be like, okay, this is what should be happening. And so, you got to build that trust the right way. And the way you build the trust the right way is through those iterations, through those interactions, those positive experiences, not experiences that are freaking you out, right? That are giving you bad feelings. You know what I mean? Like, cause I can imagine if somebody said that to you, you'd be like, no, and don't come talk to me.
I'd be like,
again.
Where's my mace?
Yeah.
Where's my mace?
You can't really recover from that. It's a no. It's going to be a no forever, right? All right. So the point I'm making here is really that people buy from brands that they trust, right? So when they get those positive experiences over and over again, that builds the trust, right? It's not always even what's best. And this is a hard pill for some people to swallow because some people are like, hey, I'm the best at what I do.
Yes.
Right? My cookies are better than everybody else's.
Right.
My cakes, right? Or
everybody will say it. They will say, my stuff is the greatest.
It's the best, right? I'm the best coach, right? I give the best financial advice. I give the best whatever it is, right?
Everybody says it.
Everyone says it, and they feel that they're the best.
Yes.
Here's the truth. People don't buy what's best. They buy what's known. That's what it is. They don't buy what's best. They buy what's known, right? What's known to them, what they trust is what they buy, right? And sometimes just because of the known factor, they will go out of their way to skip past you to get to what they know, right? Yep. Example being Starbucks.
I was just thinking that. I know you said Starbucks, but I will literally drive past
mad coffee
all the coffee shops and all that Dutch Bros. I mean, in California. Yeah. But I will drive past everybody to go to a Starbucks.
Yeah, the local ones. All the different ones. Excuse me. No. I know Starbucks. That's what I'm going with. Yes. Right? And it don't matter what city we in, right? We can rely on that because they built that trust through consistency, right? And so once again, as a small business owner, you have to understand, and as an entrepreneur, you have to understand that is at play at all times. And so you need to know that and then use that to your advantage.
Because as humans, we love consistency.
Yeah.
We like consistency in our relationships. Like, think about like when you were a kid. Like, there were things that you looked forward to that were going to happen, right? You liked certain consistency with whatever it was. Yeah. Like, I'm going to go to grandma's house. And I know she's going to give me some peach ice cream or whatever it is.
Peach ice cream?
My grandpa always had some peach ice cream.
Oh, my God. I thought you were going to say something else.
I don't know. Yeah. Like Granny would always make some, like, okra and tomatoes.
Oh, my God. It's not getting better. Peach ice cream and okra and tomatoes. Okay, so my grandma, she always had red beans and rice. Okay.
See, mine from Carolinas and yours from Louisiana.
New Orleans.
Okay.
So red beans and rice was always, like, it didn't matter. It always was in the kitchen, right? It always was there. She'd always have
like the peach ice cream. It was always in
peach ice cream. I remember like the little candies, like butterscotch candies or the little
yes. I had a babysitter who always had the little butterscotch with the golden wrapper.
Yeah.
I would tear those joints up, and I would look forward to going to her house
because you knew they was there.
Because my mama never gave me candy, so I knew I would go to her house and hit that candy dish.
That's right. Yes, for sure.
So as humans, we just like that consistency.
That's right. And to your point, once again, businesses can use that as well, right? What is your version of that candy that you're going to give to that client every time they experience you? Right? What is it?
It's like a little dopamine hit.
A little dopamine hit. And if you can provide that and you're intentional enough about that, guess what? They're going to eventually spend money with you.
Your online presence may be holding you back, but we can fix that. Entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, be honest. Are you proud of your website, or do you cringe every time someone asks you for your link? Here's the deal. You don't need to gamble on a full redesign. With Panda Commission's Divine Redesign Movement, you get a pro-level website or funnel mockup for just $100, risk-free. We're talking expert design, not run-of-the-mill templates that everyone else is using. In less than a week, you'll have a high-converting, premium look for your brand. Love it? Move forward with a full redesign. Don't walk away, no pressure. Spots are limited, and your next client is judging your website right now. Don't let bad design cost you business. Your digital breakthrough is just one redesign away. Lock in your $100 mock-up today at mydivineredesign.com. Panda Commission, premium design for your business at every stage. Okay, so now that we know all the myths, okay, we've debunked them. What exactly, what actionable steps can we take? Like, what should we be doing instead?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we got to do is focus on consistency. We got to get consistent when it comes to our online presence, how we're branded everywhere. We got to get consistent, whether it's our websites, our graphics, our messaging, all these things. It's got to get consistent. We got to figure out our tagline and use it everywhere. Beat it to death. You got to, figure out your color palette, figure out your branding, figure out your font, whatever that is.
Consistent colors.
Yeah, just be consistent. Like
you don't have to use the whole rainbow.
No, and at some point, you got to lock in on something and just be consistent with it. And that it takes time to do that. But at some point, you have to make a decision to say, this is how we're going to show up all the time. And you get there and you do that thing. And that is one of the ways you got to focus on consistency, right? Also, you got to prioritize quality over quantity, right? I think sometimes early on, we get to a place where we're just trying to have a lot of volume, because obviously volume means sales. And sometimes you just want to get as much as you can. But what people find sometimes, especially they have that quick success right away, if they haven't established their brand and all these things yet, what happens is after that initial cycle goes away in terms of that initial buzz, they are not able to get the customers back. And you know why they're not able to get them back?
Why?
Because there was no brand loyalty established. There was no trust really established. I mean, it's kind of like, and once again, I'm gonna give analogies, right? Like human relationships. It's kind of like if you're a one night stand person.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, and that's all you do, and that's you're known for that, and that's what people, unfortunately come to you for, because that's your rep. I'm just saying,
they come in for the one night.
They just come for they know you good for it, right?
They heard your name. They saw your name written on the bathroom wall with your phone number.
for a good time, one night, right? One night only.
Night only.
And then you might be fun for that night, but then since you don't have anything else going for you, the substance isn't there. You don't have anything to build on. And maybe you might be like, well, I'm trying to shift now. I'm no longer in that phase of my life. I don't want to be, just a one night person. I want lasting relationships. Then you have to change something about what you're doing in order for that to happen.
I don't usually do this.
Huh?
I don't usually do this.
I don't usually do this? What do you mean?
I'm like, I don't usually do this.
Oh, stop saying that? Yeah. You definitely got to stop saying that line. No, but I'm saying you'd have to change your approach. You'd have to change how you're positioned. You'd have to change how you're branded.
Right.
Right? So you'd have to start to say, okay, I'm going to start going for quality, not quantity. As in order for me to spend time with you, here's a criteria, here's a standard, here's certain things that I need, and that is something for business, you have to so for example, if you're the kind of business that you start off and you're just selling to everybody because you're just trying to make money, right? But you will learn, and everyone learns this, all money ain't good money, right? You'll start to experience clients that will get on your last nerve, right? That you can't stand.
You're like, how did this person ever come to me?
And it will be vice versa. They'll have disdain for you, right? They won't like how you doing things, and then next thing you know, y'all don't like each other, right? It's not a match made in heaven, but then you keep getting people like this. You keep getting these headaches. Why? Because oftentimes your brand is not established in a way that protects you from that. So you're going to have to, at some point, cut that off and start to focus on quality and not quantity. So you have to establish your brand and say, hey, you know what? These are my non-negotiables. I'm no longer going to, message myself this way to attract this type of people, or I'm no longer lowering my prices. I'm no longer giving discounts, or I'm no longer allowing you to, take 30 days to get back to me once you sign a contract. You got 4 days or 5 days based on the contract. And if you decide to abandon this, then it's gone, right? You got to like establish certain things like that. And once you do, you'll start to see that you'll attract different people and you'll have that quality. But at some point, you got to cut that off.
Yes.
Another thing you got to do is you got to invest in branding where it matters. So what does that mean? Every every company needs something different, right? I would say that at some point, every company needs a website. But I would also, yeah, at some point, right? Especially this day and age. But I would say that there are.
Because you do have those people who are like, oh, I have my Instagram page. I don't need a website.
Yes. Well, here's the thing though. For some people, an Instagram page may make more sense initially in terms of where they are, right? But I would say invest in branding where it matters, meaning that let's say you have an influencer brand, right? And you're trying to build everything on Instagram. It makes sense for you to invest in a camera, invest in the quality of the video, right? Because that's what you're trying to build. And it makes sense to invest in editors that can give you the kind of outcome that you're looking for in terms of your video. It makes sense to maybe invest in certain graphics and graphic designers to kind of build that up, right? Maybe a website isn't necessary initially, but at some point, as you continue to build your personal brand and you want to attract, maybe some sponsors or people to, start to do business with you on that higher level, they're going to want to see a more established brand and a totality of who you are. So at some point, it makes sense to create that. But what my point is that you invest where it matters, meaning that, like, say you're someone who deals with people directly. Let's say most of your interactions is like you're I don't know, you're a plumber, right? And so you having a really dope website probably isn't like the highest leverage, right? Now people need to figure out how to get to you. You should probably have a good website, a strong one that doesn't turn people off, right? It should be credible. It shouldn't look all shady and weird. It should look credible.
They're just going to put some putty on my pipe and bounce.
It should look credible, but I wouldn't say that that's the highest leverage to do something like super elaborate there. Now, it may probably make sense to invest more in flyers.
Or like getting your van wrapped.
Exactly.
Or like Google local ads or something like that.
Exactly. That's the point, right? To invest where it matters in your branding rather than just doing everything.
Right.
Because just because we're a design company doesn't mean that we're saying that it's one size fits all. Everybody needs to do the same exact thing. No, invest where it matters, right? And so, like, to your point, like the rap, if I was you, and that was a big part of my business was getting people from me driving my vehicle around and them calling the number, I would make sure my rap is really good. Because we've seen them, right? We've seen some really bad raps.
Some horrible raps.
And we've seen some really good ones.
Because we pay attention.
Because we're design company. We're a branding company, right? So we're looking at that. But I remember we saw one, we were driving, I forgot where we were driving, and there was this one van, and we noticed it, and the only thing it had on the wrap was the company name.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. I'm just making this up, so it's probably not real, but it was like Johnson and Brothers, Co. That's all it said. It was like, what do you do?
Oh, right. We were driving down the highway and there was that one van that had the wrap and it was so weird. It was another van.
Hold on, don't go there. That's my story. See, you
I know, and you're going to tell it better anyway. Right.
It said Johnson and Brothers Co.
Right.
That's all it said.
Yes.
And remember, I pointed out, I said, what do they do? And we were like, had the faintest, like, we don't know.
Right.
It had name and phone number.
And I Googled it, didn't I?
I think you did.
I Googled it and found out what they did.
Yeah, but see, but you had to Google them.
Right.
Right? But the likelihood of you being ready to do business with them is different, right? Because you're more out of curiosity and because we're branding companies. But most people, average people wouldn't do that.
They ain't gonna do that.
They're just gonna look at it and be like,
they're just gonna see it drive by.
They'd be like, what is it? I don't know. And to keep it moving, right? They're definitely not gonna call you because they have no reason to, right? Then we saw literally moments later, we saw another van and it said something like, need plumbing, or it was like need expert plumbing or something like that.
It was so cool.
Yeah. It was like a pain point, we fix everything or something like that. It was like, whatever it was. And so we knew, oh, that's what you do. And if I'm in need of that service, it's very clear to me what you do. And the likelihood of them getting calls, and they had their website and they had their phone number all on the van, right? And it was clear what they did. My guess, I don't know, I'm just guessing, that van does a lot better than the one that just has the name and no one knows what they do.
Right.
And so the point that I'm making is when you talk about investing in your branding where it matters, it's not just about just getting stuff done just to get it done, checking off the box. Make sure you do it the right way. Make sure you get it done right. Make sure you're investing in the right things that make sense for your business. And that's where you're going to see the return. Also understand, the last thing is to understand that you have to build trust over time. This notion that you get to, blow up your business as soon as you start it is just the biggest myth in the world. It takes a long time to build a successful business. And it has nothing to do with you as a person in terms of your skill set. It's just the way it is. Business is hard. It's not easy. There's so much that you have to learn about yourself, about your competition, about yourself, your clients, everything. Like it's not something that happens overnight. One of the sayings that I've heard that really encouraged me as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, is like your job as a business owner is to stay in business long enough to become an overnight success. Right? Because oftentimes when we discover new brands, sometimes we think, oh man, you discovered them. Like, they must have just launched. Not knowing they've been in business for 10, 20 years, right? Figuring this thing out, trying to get it right.
Because business is a faith walk.
Oh,
it's
man.
like you have to be in it. You have to be steady and like be committed to it and really be invested in it until you see that success in the return.
Yeah. And it don't happen all the time. And it doesn't happen right away. That doesn't mean it's never going to happen.
Right.
But that does mean that sometimes it requires you to develop yourself as a person, to develop your offer more, to just become better, right? Just be better at what you do. And then also learn how to market, learn how to actually brand yourself, learn how to get more traffic, learn all these things. It takes all of that. And sometimes, we compare ourselves to others because we see their success, not understanding all the work that they put into it.
Right.
I think sometimes, like people,
or the team behind it.
There's been times where people have asked us, about our success, like, man, how did you guys, do what you did? Like we recently got the two Comma Club award. Excuse me. We recently got the 2 Comma Club award from ClickFunnels. And, people have asked, like, how did you guys do that? And the answer that I have for them was nothing sexy. I didn't have nothing, sexy to say other than that we finally figured out our offer. That's what it was. We had all these different offers that we had tried over the years. We finally figured out the one that works, and we just been working that.
That's it.
We found something that worked, then we kept just building on that and just kept hammering that offer home. And now all we do is just really just repeat the same offer in different ways. That's all we do and continue to do, and it works for us. And so, and we're not even there where we want to be. Like, we're not even at the mountaintop that we want to be.
But we finally figured out what could get us there.
Exactly. But it took some time.
Right.
But we know, and we also know that if we continue to do what we're doing, it's going to continue to build, and we'll get better, and eventually we'll get to where we want to go.
Right.
And so we want to encourage people out there that are listening to know that the reputation is what builds the trust. Not reputation. The repetition is what builds the trust. So it's not just like repetition as in the amount of times customers see you and experience you. It's also the repetition in terms of the amount of times you do what you're supposed to do. Like, you perform that service, you do that thing. Like, the amount of reps that you have make you better, right? It's just over time. Like there's a saying that it's like you choose quality over quantity, right? Like, that's one of the best ways to go about it, right? Is to choose quality over quantity. However, the cool thing about quantity is that if you do something enough, it becomes quality. I'm gonna give you an example. Toyota brand, right? Toyota has so many cars out there. I think at times they're like the number one seller, right? They got tons and tons of cars, right? They're not the most expensive. They're not the cheapest either, but there's a lot of them, right? Because Toyota builds so many cars, they have that process so dialed in that it is quality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Because they do so much. Like, they've gotten so efficient at it that they just build really good cars that just, tend to not break down as much. They still are one of the most reliable cars out there. How did the reliability happen? It's the intentionality. It's them wanting, obviously, to be quality, but also it's the amount of repetition that they have. They've built so many cars so often that they get to figure out all the little tweaks and all the little things and become better at it. And so some of us, we haven't had enough reps to even be as good as we need to be, right? To build our brand. So we need to have more reps. We got to have more just more times to do the thing so that we can get really, really good. So I just want to encourage people that, when we're looking at, different people who are maybe at the top of our industry and we're like, man, these people are like killing. I wish I was making their money. I wish I was doing what they're doing because I'm just as good as them. But likely, you just ain't put in the reps. You may be just as good as them, but you don't know all the nuances. You haven't experienced all the things that they've experienced to get them to where they are.
You can't just put your logo out on something and put it out there and expect a return, right?
Yeah.
It's about the experience that people have with your brand.
Absolutely.
And, the time that it takes to really build it out and for people to recognize what you do, what you offer.
Absolutely. And also, once again, just to reiterate, you don't have to be everywhere.
Right.
Right. You don't have to be everywhere at all times. The likelihood that if you see somebody on top of your industry, you try to copy all their moves like that, you're going to spread yourself way too thin. You don't understand the team that they have. You don't understand the money that they're investing in their marketing and their branding. And so you can't compete. So it's smarter to just focus on where it counts, right? Know where your target audience is and you be there for them. And you show up as consistently as you can in that space. Don't worry about other platforms or other avenues that, that there's a slim chance that somebody recognizes you there or that is successful there. Focus on what works, where your audience is. That's what's going to give you the most bang for your buck. And also, expensive branding is an investment, right? The more you pay, if you do it the right way, it's an investment. It's not something that is a waste of money. Building out a website that's done the right way, however that costs, whatever that costs, is a good investment if it gives you the ROI.
Right. It's not just a vanity expense.
No.
Or, switching it up to make your brand look pretty or anything like that.
It's purposeful.
Right.
Like I was even thinking about like pictures.
Or at least it should be.
It should be. I was thinking about the pictures that we have. Like I got some professional pictures done recently, and you're gonna get some done too. But like we did, we had some pictures that were out there that were professional, but not quite like at the level. But every time we want to get to another level, we know we have to invest more in the images, in the video, in the pictures and all that stuff because it attracts certain people. And that's just the way it is. And every time we've done things like that to level up, it's always paid off.
Right.
We always got the return because we're like, okay, now we're trying to attract a certain people. We need to establish ourselves a certain way. But once again, similar to like in real life, right? You may be younger and you trying to, impress an employer, and you going for your first job and you don't really have much, like professional clothing. So you get in there and you wear, what you got, which was like a button down, like a plaid button down and, some khakis.
Like a flannel
joint, right? And you even got a belt, right? Or you got a belt that's like don't match. And so you show up that way. Now, some people may give you a shot.
Like a church, like a Easter.
Yeah, you look like you going to church, but like you dress yourself and not your mama, right? It didn't come together the right way. You try to be professional, right? And they like, okay, we see you tried, but that ain't it, right? They're not impressed with how you look. And so, it may hinder you from getting that job. Whereas you invest in, maybe talking to someone who actually, tailors suits and you go to Men's Warehouse or whatever, and you actually like talk to someone and say, hey, I'm trying to get a job, but I'm trying to impress them. I only got $100. I only got, $200. How could you make me look as best as I can for that amount of money? And they hook you up. And then you go to that job interview and you look like somebody who's like, okay, presentable. And they're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about, right? So that's the difference that we're talking about. It's not that you have to have a whole bunch of money and, like that's going to get you it. But whatever you have, make sure you invest it the right way so that you present yourself the right way so you increase your chances of getting that client, getting that sale, getting that opportunity.
So if you're ready to ditch the myths and build a brand that actually makes you money, hit us up at Panda Commission. We'll help you not only create a brand that looks good, but converts as well.
All right, if you receive value from this episode, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear about what are some of the branding myths that you've heard. What are some of the truths that you know based on your experiences? Put it in the comments so we can discuss it. We'd love to engage with you. And also, if you found this valuable, make sure to share it with somebody, someone that may be, living in those myths, thinking some of these things are true. Go ahead and show this episode, and hopefully they'll get some value from it. And also, you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Just search Panda Commission. We'd love for you to follow us and become a part of our Panda family.
If your brand looks cheap, people will assume your business is too. Coaches, speakers, small business owners, be honest. Does your brand look like the premium high-value business you say it is? Or does it scream, I did it myself, but this ain't my ministry? Listen, a powerful brand isn't just designed, it's built with intention. And if your brand looks basic, don't expect premium clients. That's where Panda Commission comes in. We take care of all your design needs, websites, funnels, and graphics. Unlimited, high-quality designs completely done for you. No more unreliable freelancers, no more overpriced agencies, just a flat monthly rate and branding that actually increases your conversions. It's time to show up like the authority you are. Get unlimited premium design. Visit pandacommission.com and sign up today. Panda Commission, premium design for your business at every stage.